Viewer discretion is advised. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is now half a century old and is considered to be a cult classic for many reasons. I'd agree with this point. The slasher genre was redefined into what made them so popular in the 80s, the last female survivor, after everyone she began the journey with has been slain, and the psychotic humanoid monster whose only drive in life is to kill everyone. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an essential film for the horror genre. The film begins with a 2D scroll text, with narration over the top, claiming that the events of this film have taken place. They went as far as to post this claim all over their posters and artwork. If you didn't know any better, you'd believe Leatherface was an actual serial killer. The inspirations for this story came from the demented, horrific killings of the American serial killer, Ed Gein. After the narration ends, we go to a slow dolly shot displaying a juicy human corpse propped on top of a stone pillar holding another human's head in the middle of a cemetery during the day. Before we get to see this grotesque display, voices over the radio waves begin talking about the defiling of graves in local cemeteries around Texas, with the perpetrator still at large. The radio then shifts to more depressing news about death and tragedies. As we continue to VO these atrocities through the radio, the noise becomes diegetic. We are then shown who our victim/protagonists will be. There are 5. Kirk, our handsome masculine idiot who's dating Pam, our soft on eyes kind of gal whom I believe only learned to read so she can recite some BS about horoscopes to everyone. Driving the van is Jerry, who is dating Sally, our survivor, and her handicapped brother Franklin. Finding out that there's a group of 5 friends who are driving through butt-fuck Texas, looking for the siblings' grandfather's old house. So these kids are on a road trip. While this is happening, they come across a gaunt stranger who's trying to hitch a ride, but no one will help him out until our stupid protagonist friends make the classic move, picking up a hitchhiker. Again, this movie helps define a lot of today's standards and tropes. Also, his name in the credits is Hitchhiker. This freaky guy instantly makes a connection with wheelchair-bound brother Frank. Together, the two bicker about how to slaughter cows.
With a sledge. See, that was better. They died.
This argument is actually important to what happens later in the film. Eventually, the hitchhiker demands money for taking an unsolicited photo of Frank, and then cuts his hand open with a knife before starting a fire with said photo he failed to sell. They kick him out, and with that bloody hand, he smears a marking on the side of the van. Now running out of gas, they make it to a shitty gas station where the clerk and presumably the owner try to get them to stay and offer barbecue. They decide to drive off with no gas to the old Franklin estate, which is far from the road and in a dilapidated state. While the others are enjoying the asbestos-riddled structure, hot couple Kirk and Pam follow a trail that Frank claims that would lead to a creek to go swimming. Big surprise, there's no water, and then Kirk hears a noise, a generator over at a distant neighbor's house. Now, Kirk and Pam approach the house, searching around the stranger's property in the hope of asking them for fuel, because they have a working generator, I guess? Frank discovers over at his grandfather's estate a garland of animal bones. Back to Kirk, he begins pounding on the door when a tooth falls out. He gives this to Pam, and she's not okay with it. While Pam is upset in a way, Kirk lets himself in and he hears pig noises. As he approaches the doorway where he hears the noise, out comes Leatherface with a hammer and beats him over the head, just like how the hitchhiker and Frank said they would kill cattle. The rest of the gang find their way into Leatherface's house, where he hangs Pam on a meat hook while he chops up Kirk with his beloved chainsaw. Sally's upset that the two are taking too long swimming, so her boyfriend Jerry has a look-see where he is bludgeoned by Leatherface, but Leatherface loses him. Jerry is never confirmed dead or alive by the end of the film. Now dark, Sally drags her brother Frank through the dark brush before they come into contact with Leatherface, who instantly kills Frank and chases Sally for about 20 minutes before she finds herself inside Leatherface's home. It's later revealed to us that the hitchhiker, the gas station attendant, and Leatherface are a family, and the old rotting corpse up in the attic is actually their grandfather, and they are cannibals. In the house, we find out the decor is an amalgamation of animal and human bones that make up for a lot of the decor. This is the most accurate thing to confirm the film is using Ed Gein as an inspiration. Eventually, Sally escapes the brothers and runs into a nearby road. It's now sunrise. First, she stops a cattle truck where we see the only black character in the film. Leatherface is the only one in the family to meet her on the road with his chainsaw. After scaring off the black man, Sally stops another truck where the guy waits long enough for her to jump in the back of the bed, and they drive off, leaving Leatherface dancing alone with his chainsaw. 2 out of 5 stars. This classic film deserves this, and maybe worse. It's a collection of half-assed ideas with no reason for the plot, leaving it empty and meaningless. The action scenes are lame and corny. That is, if you can actually see what's happening. And the cinematography is so off, you have to imagine the horror yourself. While the things they do show us can be dismissed as cheap props. Also, the acting, from physical to voice work, is just bad and stupid. It makes you wonder if the director Toby Hopper didn't know how to make films and just decided one day to shit one out. I know without this film we wouldn't have a ground to base our horror film structures on, but slashers feel cheap and lazily written. The most fascinating part of this film is the argument you never saw coming. This film's pro-vegetarian. Even Hopper claimed it's about meat and became a vegetarian while filming, but the film has no impact on that stance, and you would just have to use your imagination to believe that one up.